Creature in the Clearing. Park Ranger Journal Entry. It happened 5 years ago. The official ruling was that his death was caused by a rogue bear attack. You know, when a bear gets a little too used to eating human food, so it doesn't feel threatened anymore and attacks a human? They all know it wasn't a bear, though. Bears don't leave wounds like that. And they sure as hell don't pose the body 70 feet up in a dead tree. Yeah, I said pose. But before I get into the details, I should explain a bit about myself. I'm a park ranger in a popular national park in the northern United States. I don't want to say exactly which one, although I doubt I'll keep my job much longer anyways. That's partly why I'm posting this. I need to tell somebody else about this story. And like I said, my colleagues don't want me to talk about it. Being a park ranger has given me a lot of weird stories. And everyone is used to weird shit happening in the woods. But this one is on a completely different level. For days now, we had been getting reports of campers and hikers about strange noises coming from a section of the deep backcountry forest. Growls, yipping, even human-sounding voices. Equipment and food had been going missing from the backcountry campgrounds. All pretty typical stuff that can be explained away pretty easily. Many animals thrive on food that campers bring in, and also many of the animals like to steal the food that campers bring in. And then they make weird noises, and even some of them sound like human voices. But most of these can be explained, that the sound that the foxes and mountain lions make at night. But we needed to investigate either way, because an animal that is conditioned to human food is dangerous. So we sent our veteran backcountry ranger, Craig McKay. This guy had been working there for 30 years. He was an expert outdoorsman and was my mentor when I first started. As always, he jumped into the task, always eager to go into the backcountry, even though he was getting older. I'll pause now and let Craig tell the rest of the story. Well, his journal will have to tell the rest of the story, because he isn't alive to tell it. I found his journal, a flashlight, and his backpack inside a small cave near the location of his body, a couple of days after he didn't return, and we had sent out a search party to find him. I haven't shared this journal with anyone, not even with the other rangers, until now. I'm not exactly sure why I've kept it hidden. Other than that, the truth seemed so messed up and unreal. I didn't want it to damage people's memory of Craig. I'm not even sure if I believe it myself. Everything below is what he had written down over 2 days he was out in the backcountry excursion. Ranger Journal, Part 1. October 21, 2011. Day 1. Today was a long day, and I can't say that I've made much progress. I've hiked about 15 miles over the course of the day, starting down in the gully where the reports first started and ending up at my current camp, which is on the southwest side of Bald Knob. I figured it's a good enough place to keep an eye out for anything coming and going through the valley. Earlier, I found some tracks on the ground in the area, and as close as I can tell, they're from a mountain goat. Odd that it would travel alone, but maybe it was separated from its herd or dying? It had an odd gait to the tracks, so I followed them for a while, but they didn't lead anywhere, so I abandoned them. Near the tracks was a pervasive smell of death. And I'm assuming a goat got separated and died. Tomorrow I'm planning to hike across the valley to the mountain on the opposite side and see if I can catch the track of whatever is harassing the campers. October 22nd, 2011. Morning of the day 2. Quick note, while I eat breakfast, last night was a long night. One of the longest I've had in a while. About an hour after going to bed, I heard light steps near the campsite. I grabbed my rifle and went out to investigate. No lights, so my eyes could stay adjusted to the dark. The second I stepped out of my tent, the noise stopped. Whatever was there knew that I was watching. I made a couple of circles around the campsite and found nothing, but I could feel something watching me from the shadows. As I got back into my tent, I thought I saw a tall silhouette in the clearing, but I must have been seeing things. It was too skinny to be a bear, and nothing else is that tall. The strong scent of death was still present and kept me weary all night. Today's mission has changed. I got a radio call that a couple of hikers haven't returned when they were supposed to last night and might be lost. I'm still crossing the valley today, but this time to reach where the hikers were supposed to be last night. October 22nd, 2011. Night of day 2. Stopped for the night in the valley. Cooking dinner now. Chicken and rice again. Dead tired. I'm getting too old for this. No progress on the hikers. Still smells like death, though much stronger than before. Added note. I've just heard some sounds that sound like they could be voices. Can't get the radio to work in this valley. Looks like I'm not getting dinner tonight after all. Going to take a light pack and see if I can follow these voices. October 22nd, 2011. Night of day 2. Second entry. Scribed further down the page. Dear God, what did I find? Barely made it to this cave. I can hear it scratching and gurgling outside. Going to try to block the entrance and see if I can stay here overnight. I found out where the smell of death came from. I've got the cave entrance crack covered with a large rock and some brush. It will have to do. The beast is still outside, clawing at the crack and at the rock. I don't think I'll sleep tonight anyways. Not after what I saw. I might as well record this because these might be my last words. For the first time in my career, I'm scared. I don't even know what the hell I saw. It was huge, about 7.5 feet tall, impossibly fast. Smells like putrid meat. Earlier, when I had left the camp, the voices outside became more and more persistent. They were definitely human voices. I followed them until I reached the clearing, and suddenly everything went silent. No voices, no hikers. It sounded like the forest itself was holding its breath. I heard a slight sound behind me before I was thrown off my feet. I got the wind knocked out of me. My rifle was ripped from my hands before I could use it. I was picked up by my legs and thrown across the clearing. I could feel its claws dig like knives into my muscles. The thing dragged me upright against the tree, and I could feel its breath on my neck. Breathing out that putrid smell. I could feel blood pouring from my legs and soaking into my pants. The agonizing pain from the wound left me trembling. I could feel the weight of his body as it pushed up against me, ready to go in for the kill. I heard the smack of his mouth opening and prepared myself to die when a crash in the distance distracted the beast long enough for me to make a break for it. I ran for my life. I didn't look back, but I knew it wasn't far behind me, about 20 feet away. The entrance to the cave. I could possibly get to the cave, and I was able to squeeze into it. It's still outside. I can hear it shuffling around trying to get into the cave, and I can hear heavy breathing. The sucking, gasping sound coming from its mouth. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Dear God, please help me out of this. I want to see my wife again. I want to see my kids again. My nose is filled with that putrid smell of impending death. If I make it through the night, my plan is to wait until first light and try to escape back to the ranger station. End of log report. Those were the last words we have by Craig McKay. When he never reported back, we assumed his radio had gone out of range. But after a couple of days, we sent a search party out to find him. Well, we found him all right. From the tracks, it looks like Craig left the cave early the next day. He made it about 50 feet from the cave entrance when a second set of tracks catches up to him. The goat tracks. To be more specific, a goat with only 2 legs. The gait matches something that would be a bit more than 7 feet, like Craig described in his journal. What we found of Craig was dragged 70 feet up a nearby tree, and he was torn to pieces. He was hardly recognizable. His torso was jammed into a short branch on the tree that kept him hanging there. His arms splayed out to his sides. His innards were strewn around the base of the tree. The jagged, shattered remains of his legs, his bones stuck out of the early snowfall that had come to the mountains this year. Nothing appeared eaten or missing, but not a single piece of him was left untouched by the monster. It took the rest of the day and a special rope team to get him down. The missing hikers were never found. Those scraps of clothing matching what they were wearing had been found in the same valley where Craig died. Like I said earlier, the official story is a bear attack. Bears don't do this. We don't know what did this. We've rerouted trails to stay away from this area, but we still hear reports of human-sounding voices coming from the woods. And we've had more hikers than normal go missing in the past 5 years. Some are found, but it's always too late. Some are arranged like Craig was. Broken warnings to other hikers who dare intrude upon the beast forest. Some are just never seen again. The best thing we have to go off of is of this photo that we got from a cell phone found near one of the missing hikers' bags. You can barely see something off in the distance. There appears to be horns or antlers sprouting out of the top of its head. Don't go into the woods at night.